Hello, and today's purpose of the day is I can use long division to divide polynomials. So let's recap. Long division. How do you divide 418 by 12? 418 is my dividend and 12 is my divisor. So I would write my divisor first and then 418 my dividend. And now I need to ask myself, 12 goes into 4, how many times? It doesn't. So 12 goes into 41, how many times? 3 times. And 12 times 3 is 36. Now I subtract, and 41 minus 36 is, I have to borrow here, and that turns to a 3. Here I have 11. So 11 minus 6 is 5. 3 minus 3 is 0. And 12 does not go into 5, and I have to bring down the 8. So 12 goes into 58, how many times? 4 times. 12 times 4 is 48. And now I subtract again, and 58 minus 48, here is 10. And does 12 go into 10? It doesn't. So then I have to write in here a decimal, right? And I'd write in a decimal, bring down a 0. 12 goes into 100. How many times? Goes in there 8 times. 12 times 8 is 96, and I subtract. 100 minus 96 is 4. Bring down another 0. 12 goes into 40. How many times? It goes in there 3 times. 12 times 3 is 36. Subtract 4. Ooh, if I have to bring down another 0, I'll get 40 again, and so this process will repeat. So therefore I can put, bar above the 3 for bar notation. So 418 divided by 12 is 34.83 repeating. So again, just a little reminder on long division. Now that reminder of long division will help us because we are going to use long division here with polynomials. So we have 3x squared plus 9x minus 15 divided by x plus 5. So here we're going to use long division because I'm going to tell you right now that x plus 5 will not go into 3x squared plus 9x minus 15 evenly. So if I were to try to use the snowflake method, which here I can, so I can use a snowflake method, 3 times negative 15 is negative 45. Here I have 3 and 3. So factors of negative 45, that one added together give me 9. There are no factors, so you can't factor this, so this would already be prime, but we know that x plus 5 can go into that trinomial a certain amount of times, but there maybe could also be a remainder. So we are going to resort to the method of long division. So I am going to write my divisor, which is x plus 5 first, and then my dividend, which is 3x squared plus 9x minus 15. And so here's how I'm going to start this process. I'm going to ask myself, how many times does x go into 3x squared? X goes into 3x squared 3x times. And again, if you didn't know that, you could take 3x squared and divide it by x over here and cancel out an x in the denominator with an x in the numerator and get 3x. So 3x times x is 3x squared. I'll write that directly underneath the 3x squared. And then 3x times 5, this 5 right here times 3x, multiplied together gives me 15x. And then I like to put that in parentheses, and then we go back to the steps of long division, and now we subtract. So 3x squared minus 3x squared, we want that to cancel out, and here it does, it goes to 0. And then I have 9x minus 15x, which is negative 6x, and now I start that process over again. And I'm actually going to change that, and I'm going to color code this here. So I'm going to write negative 6x right there, and then also bring down the negative 15. And now I start the process again, and I say, how many times does x go into negative 6x? Well, x goes in there negative 6 times, and then x times negative 6, and I'm going to subtract this again and put this in parentheses. X times negative 6 is negative 6x, and 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. And now I need to subtract. So 6x minus negative 6x, chop chop, really goes to 0, which we want to happen. Negative 15 minus negative 30 is positive 15. And now I have nothing left to bring down from that dividend. So this is my remainder. And x plus 5 can't go into 15 evenly because x can't go into 15. So I would write my remainder as 15 over x plus 5. And that would be my final answer. Let's look at a second example here. X squared plus 7x minus 15 divided by x minus 2. Again, this we want to use long division because we cannot factor, or x minus 2 does not go into x squared plus 7x minus 15 evenly, and we can't actually factor x squared plus 7x minus 15. If we tried to find factors of negative 15, that when added together give me 7. Think of 5 and 3, but that doesn't even add up to be 7, right? And that's the only thing that 15 is divisible by, or 15 and 1, and that obviously won't get to be 7, so really there's nothing that will work here. But we know that x minus 2 probably can go into x squared plus 7x minus 15, some amount of times. So let's use long division, and we're going to say x minus 2, change colors here, x minus 2 goes into x squared plus 7x minus 15. And we will first ask ourselves, how many times does x go into x squared? X amount of times. X times x is x squared. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. And now we subtract. The x squareds cancel out, which is good. And 7x minus negative 2x is chop chop really a plus, which gives me 9x. Bring down the negative 15. Now we start this process over again and ask ourselves, how many times does x go into 9x? 9 times. So then x times 9 is 9x. Negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. Now I subtract. 9x minus 9x cancels out, and negative 15 minus negative 18, chop chop really is plus, and we get 3. Now can x minus 2 go into 3 evenly, or can x go into 3 evenly? No, it cannot, so 3 is our remainder. So I would say plus 3 over x minus 2. That would be our solution here. Okay, let's take one last look at an example. A couple things to remember here is make sure every degree is represented before dividing. What does degree mean again? And then another step, number 2, be careful of signs. So looking for double negatives, making sure we're subtracting correctly. And then number 3 is put remainder as a fraction if necessary. So let's take a look here. X cubed minus 34x plus 45 divided by x minus 5. Now this is really important here, and I made sure to put this in the example. Make sure every degree is represented. What degree is missing here? I have x cubed, then x, and then a plain number. So whatever I start with, here it's x cubed, there must be a degree showing that's less than 3 all the way down to 0. And here 2 is missing, so I must have to write in a filler for x squared, meaning 0x squared, to make sure I can do this problem correctly. So what I would write this like would be x cubed plus 0x squared minus 34x plus 45. And I'll show you why that will be necessary and why it will be helpful to make sure you remember to do that. So let's divide here. So I'm going to say x minus 5 goes into x cubed plus 0x squared minus 34x plus 45. All right, now we ask ourselves, how many times does x go into x cubed? X squared times. So x times x squared is x cubed. Negative 5 times x squared is minus 5x squared. Now, do you see how the like terms line up? I have x cubes that line up, and now I have x squareds line up. If I didn't have x squareds line up, I might accidentally try to combine like terms with x's and x squareds, and then just be in a mess and it wouldn't work out. So now if I subtract, x cubed minus x cubed goes away, 0x squared minus negative 5x squared, and this is where you need to be careful of signs. Double negative, chop chop, really means add, so I get 5x squared. Bring down the negative 34x, and now I ask myself, how many times does x go into 5x squared? 5x times, and now I say x times 5x is 5x squared. Negative 5 times 5x is negative 25x. And now I subtract. 5x squared minus 5x squared goes away. Negative 34x minus negative 25x. Chop chop really means adding, and so that would be negative 9x. Let's change colors again. So negative 9x. And then bring down the 45. And then I ask myself, how many times does x go into negative 9x? Negative 9 times. X times negative 9 is negative 9x. Negative 5 times negative 9 is plus 45. So now we subtract. And negative 9x minus negative 9x, really chop chop, means adding, goes to 0. And 45 minus 45, ooh, that also goes to 0. So what does this mean here? You got it, that there's no remainder. So this, x squared plus 5x minus 9 would be my final answer. And we could double check our work by multiplying here our x minus 5 by our answer, and we should get our end result as x cubed minus 34x plus 45. So there's also a way to check your answers. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. Bye-bye.